Hey everyone, it's Lulasai. I am here with a review for Spider-Noir Season 1. This is a Marvel television show that is very different from your typical Marvel. It's available on Amazon Prime Video, and yeah, it is honestly such a refreshing experience. So creative, so intriguing. I'm going to be a little bit harsh on it in this review, but I highly recommend it. If you are a burnt out Marvel fan, this is the perfect thing for you to like rekindle your love for superheroes. And if you've never watched a superhero piece of media in your life, this is also a great watch for you because, as we'll discuss, it's really not about the heroes. It's about a lot of other stuff. So, yeah. So the plot is that we are we are following private investigator Ben Riley, who has long been retired. Sorry, I just got done hanging out with some people, and I had a pretty tall drink, so trying to power through this. So yeah, Ben Riley, he is long since retired from being the Spider, which is this universe, because it's an alternate universe, so he's the equivalent of Spider-Man, but he does not go by the moniker of Spider-Man. He is the Spider. But he's been retired for a while now, I believe around 13 years. By the way, the year is 1933. We are currently watching everyone go through the Great Depression, which includes prohibition, so there's no alcohol that's easily accessible in the streets. So yeah, and Riley's firm is struggling a little bit, but eventually he catches a break. And more importantly, actually, other than catching the break, because that was kind of a nothing case, the real case is that eventually a singer named Cat Hardy, who is that spoilers? Okay, I won't say anything too much about that, but so Cat Hardy, she approaches and hires Ben in order to help her locate her lover, Flint Marko, who of course fans know is the Sandman. And yeah, this is where we really start getting introduced to the other villains in the series. So you've got a lot of villains, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. You can always, I'll give you 5 seconds if you want to pause if you don't want to hear the other villain names. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the other villains in this series, we have Tombstone, we have Megawatt, Black Cat, we have Silvermane, and we also have, I already said Sandman, right? Yeah, and there was also, I don't know the fire guy's name, but he wasn't really in the series very long, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that, so there's eventually his case to find this Sandman gets intertwined with the mob business. So the crime boss, Silvermane, runs the city. They're in New York City, and Silvermane's trying to gather all of the people with powers in order to use them as muscle and for political gain, because he wants to overthrow his adversarial candidate running for mayor, so that he can continue to run the city without any issues. So yeah, and I mean, there's a lot more going on, but I don't need to spoil everything for you. I just wanted to give you a brief idea of what's happening. So really, we're just following a retired old alternate universe Spider-Man who's in the 1930s during the Great Depression trying to keep his firm afloat, and he gets tangled up in the mob business and becomes forced to put back on the mask because with great power comes great responsibility, and he's going to be unable to sit this one out. Interestingly, so let's start with breaking it down. So interestingly, I really liked how different this series was. If you're like a die-hard Peter Parker fan and you watch this, you might be a little bit offended at first, but I'm not a die-hard Peter Parker. I like Spider-Man, but I'm not gonna like get upset over it if there's any differations, like if they want to do anything different with it. And this is not Peter Parker. He's an entirely different character, and he is like bordering on anti-hero. He is willing to kill people. He will beat them up and send them to the hospital, even if they don't always, even if the ends don't always justify the means, he'll do it anyway, because he's an emotional being who just wants to be left alone, basically. So it's really interesting to watch a hero who doesn't want to be a hero. but he's still it's Nicolas Cage, so he's very charming, very likable. He's a very flawed character, but those flaws make him human and make him even more like charming and relatable, to be honest. Maybe other than, I'm not saying I can relate to him beating up people, but you know what I mean. He's a good guy deep down. He's just wants to rest, basically. And it's a very different angle. But there's more than that. The reason this show is so different, it still has the Marvel logo on it, by the way. Like, I almost thought, this is so non-Marvel that I almost thought it could be like non-canon or something. Like pure Sony spin-off, but no. It is, still has the Marvel logo and many Marvel characters, of course, in there. It's so different because this is not a series about superpowered beings like showing off their cool powers to each other constantly and always escaping, you know. This is something so different. This is like, that's why I'm saying, like, you do not have to be a superhero genre fan to enjoy this, because this is a very dark, gritty, serious, you know, tale about a depressing time in human history, and it's so non-Marvel the way they portray it, because they portray it accurately. You would think they would tone it down. Think like, you know, Captain America, the First Avenger, which honestly they could have toned down even more, and I'm surprised they didn't, but Captain America, First Avenger looks like child's play compared to this, as far as like depictions of real-world historical negativity goes. As far as like social awareness today, this is not the type of thing that you would expect Marvel to release today. So they feature themes of segregation, very obviously. I mean, there's literally a sign that says whites only, right? So it's like they're not holding back their punches at all. It is 100% accurate, and I never thought we would see anything like this. So you've got segregation, racism, which is the same thing basically. You've got everyone smoking a cigarette at all times in this. It's pretty funny, actually. So huge nicotine problem. They don't depict that. Like, you don't smoke indoors at all today, and people barely smoke anyways, or like cigarettes at least. So that's also kind of interesting to see. And of course, the big one, I would say the biggest one, is prohibition. Prohibition is a big part of this series because everyone is an alcoholic in this show, and you know, it's not easy to get your hands on liquor in this series. So it's not like pressed on, but like all this stuff that's the thing. None of this stuff is like hitting you over the head with it. It's just subliminal. It's just in the background, and that's the way it should be. And that's why it's done so well. That's why modern progressive stuff, for example, does it so poorly, is because they're always trying to hit you on the head with their message. You need to show it, you need to convey it simply and subtly, and so it doesn't detract from whatever's you actually came to watch. Which is, yeah, exactly what this series does. You came to watch Nicolas Cage be a very suave man in 1930s, and that's exactly what you get, and everything else is just on top of it. It would be really annoying if they were like, racism is bad every 5 seconds. Like, yeah, I know racism is bad, you don't have to remind me, but that, again, the series doesn't do stuff like that. It is entirely authentic, very adult-oriented. This is not a series for young people. Just mature, super well done. I just can't praise it enough. The dialogue, other than some occasional modern lingo slip-ups, for example, there's one time where the secretary to Ben says, "Say less." I don't think they were saying the expression "say less" in 1933. There's a few moments like that where the writers are accidentally incorporating modern lingo, but other than those few moments, there's not a ton of them, but other than those few moments, the dialogue's really good. This is an extremely well-written show. I felt like everyone was mature, making good decisions for the most part, and other than Sandman, I guess he's very emotional in this, which is actually funny, because I haven't reviewed Spider-Man 3 on this channel yet, obviously, but Spider-Man 3, one of my nitpicks with that movie is the fact that Sandman is so wishy-washy and can't decide whose side he needs to be on. And really, he's fighting for the wrong side in Spider-Man 3. Same thing here. Actually, exactly, maybe that's just a flaw of the character itself. Maybe he's like that in the comics, and Sandman is just this wishy-washy, emotional guy who does not pick the right side. Maybe that's just how he is. If someone knows the comics, let me know. I'm a very casual fan, so I'm not going to claim to know that, but yeah, so other than him, everyone's very mature and making very rational decisions, and it was just refreshing to watch a bunch of adults doing adult things, basically. Like, I felt like the show was treating me with respect and to my intelligence. It didn't have to remind me of what's going on all the time. It's just so natural. The world is so good looking. It's immersive. I did watch in color, by the way. I'm sorry. I know that's wrong. It's because I watched the entire series with my two parents and they preferred color. If I watched it by myself, I think I probably would have chosen black and white. Maybe not though. I'm not sure. Maybe I would have wanted to do both versions. But regardless, I don't think you need to. I don't think we need to judge each other too much. I've seen some pretty funny comments of people like gatekeeping this show, saying if you watch in colored version, you're wrong or something, or you're less of a fan. I don't subscribe to that kind of stuff. So you can just watch it however you want. I watched it in color. It did not break my immersion or anything. I was very happy with the show. But I'm sure black and white is even more authentic. I'm not arguing that. But yeah, the show looks so good because it really feels like it's of the time. All the sets, the cars, everything. There was nothing that stood out to me like, wait, that shouldn't be there. Everything felt like it was actually. It felt like, because I was really watching to see if there was any like man-made inventions from the future that shouldn't be there. And no, they were really good with it as far as I could see. It's not like a Game of Thrones coffee cup situation. So unless I missed something, but yeah, really like the show. Okay, so now for some negatives. Okay, so there's only 1.5 negatives. Well, there's 2 negatives. The first one is the smaller one, which is the occasional modern lingo. I can forgive it because overall the show is very well written. Don't have a problem. Actors are amazing. They're some of the best, honestly, I've ever seen in a TV series. Like their chemistry with each other. They hold the scenes so well. Like a lot of these scenes you could argue are kind of like drawn out and long, lots of talking. And maybe that would be a problem in a different series, but in this one specifically, because of how great the actors are, you are just glued to the screen, anticipating every single word they say next. I believe this series released all at once as well, and they still. This is a really good sign when you release a series all at once instead of drip feeding it over a period of time, and the episodes still have cliffhangers after them. That is a lost art, honestly, because it just builds. Because you could choose whenever you have a cliffhanger, but it's not frustrating because you can just choose whenever to resolve that cliffhanger by immediately watching the next episode if you want. Brilliant, brilliant, really, really, really like that. Great cliffhangers in this series. Like every single end of the episode was just like, holy, I need to watch the next one. Yeah, okay, but so other than the modern lingo occasionally, the biggest negative for me is, which I don't care about that much, but I do think it technically takes away a little bit from what you're supposed to get from this. It's the superhero stuff. So the Spidey sense sucks in this. It's almost like a detriment to him, to be honest. It's like he gets these spiking headaches when something bad's about to happen, and he can barely even function or look straight. So Spidey sense sucks in this. Yeah, there's not a ton of web swinging. There is sometimes, but not a ton, so you can't really expect a lot of actual spider stuff. But that's the thing, there's a lot of other spider media that already does that. But I'm just saying that if you are someone who's expecting this kind of stuff, prepare to be a little bit let down. The villains, unfortunately, their powers, they're either underpowered or they don't get to show their abilities off too often. Like Tombstone barely gets to show off what makes him special. I knew what he did because I played Marvel Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. Like I've 100% of the game. So I knew all about Tombstone already, but yeah, he really does not get to showcase anything that he does in this series. Sandman, he has a cool power set, barely gets to use it. He gets to turn into sand a single time in the entire series. And this guy, he's actually not Electro, he's called Megawatt. So Megawatt is the best of them, I would say, power-wise. He's kind of an annoying person, but that's the whole point of being a villain, right? But yeah, he has the best powers, but even the best of the superpowers are like CW or below quality. If you don't know what CW is, it's basically all of the spin-off DC, Warner Brothers projects that have very low budgets. And this is definitely not a low-budget series, but the powers are just, they're not depicted well, they're not cool, and there is some good fights here and there, but there's just nothing superhero-y about the series. And when there is something superhero-y about it, that's its weakest part. Trying to show off abilities and stuff. I mean, Sandman, he's literally just a normal guy who has hard skin now. He's not actually a sand guy at all. Or Sandman. So you give and you take. It just depends on what you personally prefer. Yeah, and there's also some, I would say there is kind of maybe some subplots that go nowhere. Like very early on you have the whole the first case that Riley gets is just completely dismissed. I thought it was actually going to play a factor. It does not. It's basically just a plot device to get things to move forward. His very first case that we see in this. And also there is like Addison. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters in this show, and a lot of them don't get to do much or don't get to play a lot of. They don't get to play much of a role. So Addison, for example, he's an important part of the story, but he's barely in it for 10 seconds. You've got the Bugle reporter guy. Maybe, I don't know how to feel about him. I mean, I was rooting for him. I like him. But he doesn't have too much of a stake in this. He's more like just the guy that he's just an observer. He's basically like the audience. Until he does get to do something funny towards the end of the series. But yeah. There's also the half-baked love relationship romance between Ben and Kat. It's not, I mean, maybe it had potential, but it just doesn't go anywhere. And it extra sucks. Again, if you've played the Spider-Man PS4 game, you know how steamy things get between Spider-Man and Black Cat in that DLC. So, I'm going to give Spider-Noir Season 1 an 8 out of 10 and a huge thumbs up. I think it's a fantastic series. If you're coming here for pure superhero energy and amazing effects and stuff, you're in the wrong place. You're not going to find it. But if you're here for a gritty, down-to-earth, mid-prohibition, Great Depression, hyper-realistic, to a fault, not apologizing for offending anyone kind of series, this is for you. Very refreshing series. Really hope it gets to Season 2, and I'll see you next time.